How's it going, Alabama Nation? How is everybody doing tonight? Oh my God. Let's let's take our time. Let's get into this thing, man. Let's see if we can get everything. Hold on, y'all. 1 second. Here we go. Can y'all hear us? Sean, you there, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Lance, you there, brother?
Yep, mic check 1, 2. How do I
All
sound?
right. It sounds like everybody's good. Welcome to the chat tonight, y'all. Bama football on YouTube with the coaches, your post-game show here. Appreciate y'all for coming in. Hey, before we even get started tonight, make sure you come in, you drop your comments, you drop your likes. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And also just continue to share the live, man. We have a lot to discuss tonight. And as expected, man, or as expected from the fans, this display, you guys have every right to gripe and complain, and we're here for it tonight. This is your safe space tonight, and we wanted to let you know that a lot of the comments we haven't even had the opportunity to speak amongst each other like we usually do before the kickoff. So you guys are going to get just as much raw and uncut reaction as you're going to get from us. So initial reactions though, let's welcome everybody to the show. Coach Sean, how you feeling tonight, man? Just give your initial reaction and welcome to the show, bro. How's it going?
Bro, I mean, at first I was heated, man. I was disappointed. Doesn't even begin to describe. But you know what, man? When you see it with your own two eyes, and you see it, and you hear for it, you just accept it, man. I mean, you know, every I don't even know what to say, bro. I don't even know what to say. I got so much to say that I don't even know what to say.
Right,
You know,
right.
I don't know where to begin, bro. You just accept it, man. You saw it with your own two eyes. We all text through the game. You just accept it, brother. You just accept it.
Right there, man. Hey, Coach Jay, how's it going, brother? Roll Tide, welcome to the chat, man. I mean, welcome to the show, man. I'm kind of less. I think your look before you had to turn the camera off was explaining my whole mood, man. Tell us how you feel, brother. Initial reaction.
Yeah. Well, first of all, like I said, I want to apologize. Again, I got some technical difficulties going on in my area. I just got some text messages that some power lines are down, and there's an area like literally block of my area is down right now. So it's not a good day for me. So I apologize for that. But guys, for me, very similar to Coach Sean and to Smook. We're texting all throughout the game, and we were angry at first, and then we just came to a realization that we're just not. This is just not it. I'm done as far as hoping that this team can be a playoff team or a national championship team. People can call me a fair weather fan. It is what it is. But this team has to show me. I'm done with the talking. I'm done talking about, how this team is angry, how they're pissed off because of how they played against Texas, even though they didn't display it in the Texas game themselves, which I found very weird. This was just embarrassing. This was not Saban football today, ladies and gentlemen. This was Joe Kynes. This was Mike Shula. This was Franchione ball. This was Alabama in the early 2000s type ball. This is when we had, Kenneth Darby as our running back killing it, and Sean Williams back in the day. This was reminiscent of very bad times. And I'm not saying it's going to be like this every game, but what I am saying is that this team has no identity. It has no identity at all. And this has been a problem for 3 years. This is what me and Sean were talking about last week. This has been a problem for 3 years. And it starts with the players on the field, and it starts with our coaching staff. It starts with everybody. It's everybody. There's not one person to blame, but we can blame everybody. I'm at fault for accepting the way it was, because we were winning, but we weren't taking a look at the deep issues, and we thought everything was fine. Everything was going to be dandy, Candyland. But it's not. This is bad, man. This is really bad. And for me, I'm tired of getting my blood pressure risen up. I'm tired of yelling and screaming and breaking things. I'm done. For what we saw on the field today, guys. They don't deserve our anger. They don't deserve our blood pressure rising up. They don't deserve that. They don't even deserve us watching. They don't even deserve us giving us our time, giving us their time and money. What we saw today, guys, was just pure. I don't know what I saw. It was pure garbage. We made South Florida. We made two of the players, especially number 0 for South Florida. I'm forgetting the name. We made him look like a first round pick today. Watch how the mock drafts come out and try like Charlie Campbell and the rest of those guys doing their mock drafts, how they're going to have him as a first round pick. This was an absolute embarrassment in epic proportions. And I honestly, guys, I don't know what we can do. I don't know what we can do. I think, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I have nothing to say about this team. This team doesn't even deserve our attention tonight, guys. It doesn't even deserve our attention. That was utter garbage. What we saw from what was supposed to be a premier top team and a team that was supposed to bring back murder ball. Oh, somebody got murdered today. It was our program. And I don't know, honestly, guys, if it can be rezzed through this season, maybe next season. But this is an ongoing issue that's been going on for 3 years now. 3 years. And I think tonight, everybody saw those issues come to light. There's no philosophy. There's no identity. Any of that Bama standard, all that talk that we were displaying all throughout the offseason is dead. It is dead tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And I think all we can do now is simply hope for the best for next season. Hopefully Saban can get his overhaul. Hopefully we can focus on the transfer portal. Hopefully we can start. Hopefully when it comes to recruiting pitches, Saban can be on his best A game. Because I have no excitement at all for this team. Nothing. I don't feel sadness. I don't feel any anger. I don't feel any excitement. I feel nothing about this team right now. I just hope that for the most part, we see what we got from our future. We can be hopeful about that and we can focus on next season. But this season right now, guys, I have no hope. I've lost it after this game, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I went on a long rant, but I had to get that out of my system. I had to get that out. I'm sorry.
Fine, brother. Hey, this is a safe place. I'm looking at the chat and I'm smiling because a lot of you all are exemplimenting the exact, emotions that I was feeling during the game. But I got to the point in the second quarter when I saw Ty Buckner go back out there for that third drive in the second quarter. That's when I was like,
tried to tell you.
Sean, you remember what I gave him 6 drives. I said, give him 6 solid drives and let's see if something is there. First drive, I saw the reading ability, progression. It was there. Horrible pass though. Followed it up the next drive with a horrible pass, like wide open, just skipped it like and when I saw him come out that third drive in the second quarter, I just started laughing, man. Guys, Coach Smook has been dialing back on, the alcoholic beverages for the past couple months. Coach Smook had about 9 beers before the second quarter, and I stopped. I was so glad for the rain delay. Went and took a nap. I woke back up. I said, wait, we really in a game with USF. And I got it back. I said right here, I turned it on my TV, and I just looked at how our offensive line got dominated, not even Dalcourt. It was everybody at some point in the game got shown up. I think Ferguson was a good push for us, him being out there. I don't know what happened with Booker, but why is Dalcourt still out there? Why is Proctor still getting, why are we still allowing that young man get exposed? That's going to hurt him in the long run. The difference between him starting as a true freshman and previous guys, those guys were able to hold their own at some aspect of the blocking scheme, whether it was specialists in run game or specialists in pass pro. They were able to display something. He's getting whooped in both of those. It's time to give the more experienced guy who he was competing with an opportunity. At some point, those snaps that Pritchett took last year has to matter. You get what I'm saying? So we have to try something. And guys, it's a lot more we could say, but my initial reaction, I'm kind of detached from it emotionally, but looking at it from field wise, we are in trouble going into Ole Miss. We're in so much trouble, and it's sad to say, but it's one of those things where you kind of just see the writing on the wall, man. After this is a good sample size, 3 weeks. I said, give me 3 weeks at least before I start writing people off. And Dalcourt was already on my list, and he just solidified himself. I mean, there's a lot of issues, especially on the defensive call side. Kevin Steele doesn't look like a Kevin Steele style defense, and I blame it on the trenches. But we're going to get into everything. Let's attack this game. Let's just break it down, with not necessarily the numbers, but just the overall matchups. Let's talk about, most importantly, the trenches. Their defensive line versus our offensive line. Sean, take it away, brother. Explain what you saw and what you possibly see in the future happening with this matchup. Their defensive line, our O-line.
brother, I'm not even upset anymore because I was like, let. I've come to the conclusion, instead of arguing, going back and forth, just let the fans see. I remember it's 7, 8 videos on YouTube of me saying Miro is young. He's gonna have some bumps in the road. Let's just let the boy play. We have 3 young quarterbacks on our roster. It does not matter which quarterback you play with offensive line play the way we have been playing. The offensive line have got their, my rated PG version, have got their rumps kicked for 3 weeks straight. Notice I said 3 weeks. And I say 3 weeks because even in the MTSU game, I saw things that was going to come back to bite us against better competition. The offensive line is not playing well. They're not physical. They're not getting any push off the line of scrimmage. We could not move USF. And this is a whole fact. And to couple that, remember what I'm telling you right now, guys. Tommy Reese, I swear I thought Bill O'Brien had sneaked back into the booth on us. I thought, Bill O'Brien, are you in the booth? Are you in Alabama's booth and nobody's telling me? We are trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Bryce Young is gone. He's gone, brother. Tommy Reese, excuse me, is trying to turn these 3 guys into something that they're not, and that is efficient passers. We do not have an efficient passer on our roster. Ty is an efficient passer, but he's extremely young. Extremely young. He's seeing ghosts out there right now, which is to be expected from a young quarterback. When I say young, I mean no college experience. Ty Buckner is an experienced guy. That's why when all these fans were talking about, oh, he knows Tommy Reese's system, I knew that wasn't going to make a, you know what? Because without proper utensils around the quarterback, it does not matter which quarterback you play. You know what I'm saying? It does not matter if the offensive line is not going to block. If you don't call schemes that make sense. You understand what I'm saying? You have to do everything to fit the quarterback that you're going to play. And right now, we don't have any, zero, kaput identity. None whatsoever. We could not move South Florida, man. We couldn't move South Florida. I know somewhere Lane Kiffin is somewhere watching, laughing his you-know-what off because our offensive line is soft. This is why the older players were in a rant. This is why the people who've bled for this program are up in arms because it's not the losses, it's not the playing bad, it's the effort, it's the confusion, it's the cluelessness. You know what I'm saying? Jalen Milroe had a terrible game against Texas at times, most of the night. But Jalen Milroe gives us the best opportunity to move the football, obviously. Obviously, this is exactly what I said last week. Be careful what you wish for. It's a reason why Jalen Milroe started and Tyler Buckner did not, and Ty Simpson did not. Sure, he had his struggles. We all know that. Gave him 10 points, right? But we at least moved the ball. And the thing about it is, if you play with that quarterback, do things to support his skills. If you're going to go with Jalen Milroe and do things to help that guy move the ball. Right now, we don't have an efficient passer, guys, and that's the bottom line. Doesn't matter what quarterback you play if the offensive line played the way they played tonight, period. Muted.
Hey, shout out to my guy Tobias. I'm sorry, y'all. For the $20 super chat, man. Appreciate you for coming through, man. Supporting the channel. Hey, appreciate that $20 roll tide. Hey, and another super chat by Crimson Kings, $4.99. The O-line is pathetic right now. Without Miro, Bama loses to Texas by three touchdowns. Miro compensated for the weak O-line. Pathetic, sad day, roll tide. Crimson Kings, I agree with you 100%, which is why I was inclined to believe that we would give Miro another opportunity. You remember my hold on, Sean. I think you got me coming through your audio over there. Okay. Yeah, I got you. You good. But my prediction last week was that we would give Miro 6 drives to come out and prove himself. If he could not produce anything on the first 6 drives, which what Buckner came out and did, then you hand the ball to Buck. You give Buckner an opportunity and see what he does. And then you go through the pecking order that way. I think this move tonight, as promising as it seemed theoretically, looking at Buckner's ability to progress in the passing game, looking at the struggles at our offensive line that we were not able to solidify in this week's practice, should have gave us more than enough indication to say, hey, Milroe is still our best chance to get some type of production. We got production both games. Texas game against a stout defense, did we get the type of production we wanted? No, but we were able to at least put up points. We were able to at least convert on a few key third downs. Yes, we weren't able to make big on the plays that were there, the hard opportunities. Well, the opportunities that we missed. You get what I'm saying? But you don't just take a guy and snatch him from missing those type of opportunities in a big game like that. That's a big start. He showed you last year that he has the ability to be a winner against Texas A&M. That was a big game last year. You know, we lose that game, we're definitely out of the SEC West contention. You know, so we didn't get out of contention until we lost to LSU. So we got to remember this guy has been able to show up in those big moments. He's been able to do things for this team. His composure last week, like I said, even though he had some growing pains, like Sean said, his composure was the most thing I respected out of everything he did last week. His composure, he never held his head down. So my thing is, guy, the answer is not at quarterback. Is definitely showing now with these 3 games and Tommy Rees having these weapons at his disposal. The play calling has to come out. There's no more time for testing to see if we have a pocket passing quarterback. I said that last week. You don't get guys in situations to where they're forced to pass. They're not pocket passers. Ty Buckner is not a guy that can stand back in the pocket and get you a 35-yard dot. You know, Milroe can with perfect protection, but we've already proven we don't have that. We don't have that right now, Alabama. We don't have perfect protection. We don't have the best group of offensive linemen out there that's going to provide the consistent protection that the quarterback needs to be successful. So we're going to have to rely on the run game. Why hasn't our play calling gone to that? We see what these guys are doing in the run game. And before we move on to the opposite side of this ball, let's look at some stats real quick, Sean and Jay. Jay, the run game. We knew we had to come in and look at the run game. You take away Ty Simpson's scrambles, the 6 ones that were negatives, and the actual 2 quarterback runs that he took. We had a total of 36 designed run plays carried out today. 36 run plays with 17 of them going to Roydell, 13 going to Jace. Our 2 workhorses, clearly. Both of them averaging over 5 yards per carry, with Roydell popping off for 7.6 per carry. You know, and the big 48-yard run. Jay, why aren't we trying to force our O-line to grow up and rely on this run game? Talk to me, brother.
I don't think there's any confidence in this offensive line. I don't think there's any confidence with our quarterback play. I don't think there's any confidence with our run blocking ability. I don't even think, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think we have the right personnel in there right now. And I have no idea what the answer is for the offensive line as far as depth. I don't think that you have any time to put in other players and for them to kind of gel with each other and for them to be in sync. But you know, for the most part, the first drive was promising because we were able to get a push. I thought Darian Delcourt was honestly one of the best linemen, believe it or not, of today, as far as establishing a push and being a lot more physical, especially in the run department. But after that first drive was over and we started to try to establish more of a passing game and we started to disrupt that balance, it went downhill. South Florida gained confidence, and a much smaller but quicker South Florida side gave them problems up front. They started to become a lot more confident. They stacked the box, had 7-8 dudes at one point in the box, and they were getting constant penetration, which has been something that has been happening since Middle Tennessee, where the defensive line isn't getting driven off the ball 3, 4, 5 yards before, like we've seen. What do we talk about on Monday night? I talked about, for the most part, I wanted to see domination. I want to see this offensive line with the size that they have. You don't see me have the fingers up, but the size that they have, 330-pound average, drive these dudes back. And all that size means nothing without technique and without heart. And I'm going to say this, not even just the weight room. I'm going to say heart. Because South Florida was way smaller if you compare their defensive line average compared to our offensive line average. But the one thing that South Florida had is heart. And they used that heart, they used that belief to absolutely match Alabama on the offensive line. Who would have thought that, guys? Who would have thought that we would? Okay, I'm sorry. Yep, but who would have thought that we would have said South Florida could match Alabama's, on the interior? It's crazy to think about. but it is what it is. I don't think there's any confidence in this offensive line. But again, give credit where credit is due. They were able to establish a push in the second half, and yet Tommy Reese still was able to drop back with Ty Simpson to kind of kill off the drive. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I don't think there's any confidence with this offensive line. I don't, and I think that whether if we got to switch personnel or we got to make some potential positional changes, something's got to happen because we have to rely. This is the only way for us, I think, for us to get major success until we can figure out the quarterback situation. Is we got to establish a run game. We got to establish it. I think that for the most part, we learned that Rodell and Jace are our two guys, but this offensive line has got to be. They got to get better, bigger. They got to get stronger, and they got to get more physical. And if we can do that, we can be fine, regardless of who. Well, Jalen Murrow has to be the guy. I think it's clear and obvious now. But for the most part, it's how confident are we as a whole group that this offensive line can do that consistently, especially what we saw in the second half against South Florida. It's not high, but hopefully we can do it. Hopefully we can pull it off.
Shout out to Michael Manson for the $5 super chat. And it says, as I said last week, Tommy Reese is B.O.B. He's Bill O'Brien. All the things we asked Bob to do, he is not doing. No jet sweeps, screens, QB runs, or RPOs. I'm going to disagree because I'm looking at personnel and everything. But you talking about play calling and timing of play calling, it is eerily similar. I don't see a lot of confusion in the pass game as we did last year with wide receivers not getting separation because surprise, surprise, wide receivers doing their job. Wide receivers are getting open. My thing is quarterbacks are Jalen Murrow, when he had opportunities, he didn't see it. We highlighted that last week. Buckner saw opportunities and just couldn't get it there. He saw his first 3 passes were just horrible, man. Horrible. Like he had never threw a football on the college level in his life. And then when he did finally complete a pass, it was thrown behind the receiver, wide open. He had a deep crosser one time. Just throw it in front of the guy, make him go get it, and try to make the guys use their legs. So chat, you guys are really calling everything right now. Let's talk about Caden Proctor. Let's just dive in on him. He's a true freshman, but you're a highly touted true freshman. Coach Sean, Caden Proctor, what is his stats? How big is 6'7", 360 or some crazy junk like that? Talk to us, brother.
Yeah, I think I'm not as bad. I'm not as down on Caleb as everybody else because it's just a technique thing with Caleb. He's learning on the job that you can't bully everybody in the SEC. If you look at him, he does a lot of lunging. He gets off balance and they get by him. Typical young boy stuff. You know what I mean? And I think the scheme we run now, it's not like we used to. It's not a hat on a hat. We do a lot of that zone stuff, a lot of, every freshman lineman struggling pass blocking, pass protection at the college level. For me, is more. Caden has struggled. Don't get me wrong. He's struggling. He's having a rough time. But I really, really, really believe, man, once we settle down with one quarterback and they can play consistently with one quarterback, I think Caden will be all right, man. For me, I want to give a shout out to C. Lou. I think his name was C. Lou. He said Tommy Reese is on shrooms. I like that comment.
Hey. And I see them eyes, man. Look, we're doing the sobriety test next time we line up.
Also, I think it was Brock. He said Tommy Reese is not the offensive line. True that, but Tommy Reese is the man who went 5 wide on the 10-yard line when we was running the ball consistently. That is coaching. That's not, I want everybody to hear me out on this. Georgia had a fight today against South Carolina. Do you know what Georgia did when they got in trouble? They ran the ball 14 straight times. I counted.
In between the tackles, too.
In between the tackles, man. It doesn't matter if they got 2 yards out of it or 8 yards out of it. They stayed with it consistently. They ran the ball. They pounded the ball, and South Carolina could not hold up against that. So they have a competent offensive coordinator. So, man, Caden is struggling, to answer your question, but I really believe once we get a stable quarterback and quit switching, I think Caden will be you'll start to see the progression of that young man get better and better.
And like I said earlier, Sean, I'm more concerned about the inability of Reese to adjust in like immediate adjustments. He did it against Texas. Miro just didn't take advantage. Where was that tonight? And all this confidence they were supposed to have with him and Buckner's connection and all this, it was irrelevant. And I said that everybody wanted to pull Milroe after the Texas game. I told y'all that was going to be the best defensive front we see before we get into our gauntlet league play. And it showed tonight. The offensive line really has to fix these things. Shout out to my boy David Kendall for the $2 super chat. He says, get the OC and DC out the freaking booth. You know what? Y'all know I was I was a big candidate. I was a big candidate, but you look at the amount of talent we have on the field, y'all. You wouldn't expect us to struggle like this, man. And the amount of coaching on that sideline, you talking about guys who have upside, you expect them to be able to handle their business on the sideline, and we're not getting it. And that is uncharacteristic of Nick Saban. You can't blame me for being optimistic and saying, okay, this works out good, because you have coordinators. Look at LSU when they brought Joe Brady to LSU. He was in the booth. That had nothing. You get what I'm saying? And you got Jalen Monroe, quote unquote program experience guy. You got a transfer. You had the options there to kind of work it out. So I saw promise in it. But to see the type of miscommunications and things that's happening on the field, there's no other answer but to get your play callers on the field. They need to talk. None of your quarterbacks show composure. Milroe showed composure. Bad game. Still had composure. I'm not going to discount Milroe's composure. But you talking about composure today? Buckner came out there and just did not look like he played college football ever. And I told y'all that SEC, he didn't even face SEC speed, man. He's struggling against USF to just step up and make the easy read early. I'm telling you, as soon as Ty Simpson made the completion to CJ Dupree, what happened? Soften up that coverage and push them safeties back. Run game starts to explode. Simple concepts, y'all. You got to be able to make the easy plays. Shout out to my guy, Will Thompson. 4 TDs taken off the board the last 2 weeks penalties. Hey, let's go back to week 1. We had one taken away week 1. So you're talking about 5 scores taken away in the first 3 games of the season, with a offense that's trying to figure out their problems they're figuring out their answers at quarterback and offensive line. And guess what? 3 of those scores were taken away by the same guy on the offensive line. So that's just a little trivia thing.
Also a kick return.
And I like Terry Arnold back there. It looked funny at first, but I had to go remember that's where he used to do that in high school. So let's give Terry on his props. And like I said, guys, tonight was just a disgusting game to watch. It was horrible to watch, but let's try to dive into the defensive side, y'all. Defensive line. Jay, go. I know you ready to get to it. Go, Jay. Go.
Oh my goodness.
It's all you, bro.
Before we get into it, shout out to Will Thompson again with the super chat. 4 TD taken off the board last 2 weeks, penalties. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And then of course, David Kendall, he also sent a $2 super chat. How many OC and DCs in the booth in the NFL? Yeah, definitely can make some good points there, man. But oh boy, defensively. The defensive line, I don't know what we can do. I have no idea what we can do with our defensive line. It wasn't the worst game I think I've seen from them. But again, the main key players today were our linebackers. Our linebackers, let's give them credit. Trezor Marshall, Deontay Lawson. You saw Jahad Campbell. He made some plays. You saw a lot of youth that was going to be in there for our linebackers. They did a really good job shooting gaps. They did a really good job for the most part chasing down ball defenders. They were the key stars today. And then also again, Malachi Moore had a fantastic game. Got to give Malachi Moore a lot of credit for what he was able to do today. But our defensive line, man, it's an issue. It's a big issue, man. And again, wasn't the worst game that we've seen. Again, was way better compared to the offensive line. But the defensive line, and I'm going to go back to this, the last 3 years, we have regressed on the defensive line wise. We've regressed. And for how this quarterback, and let's give credit to the quarterback. The quarterback did a great job taking advantage of opportunities. For the most part, whenever South Florida had any sort of success offensively, they simply spread Alabama out. For the most part, Bama will rush 4. A hole would open up and he would just automatically escape. We lost contain of him so many times. And for the most part, it resulted in a lot of points because of our loss of containment. He had over 100 yards rushing on the ground. That was their only form of success. So let's give credit to what he was able to do. But this defensive line is just not. It's just not it. It's just not it. There's not a lot for me to say here, but that defensive line has got to get better. And whether we got to play younger guys, again, we saw James Smith. This was kind of the first time where I thought we saw like a big rotation where James Smith was also included into there. I want to see more of James Smith. I want to see more of our future. Because so far from what we've seen from besides Otis, it's a big problem. It's starting to become a big problem. And I can see teams like Ole Miss. I can see teams like Tennessee. I can see a lot of these SEC teams taking advantage of the defensive line, of our deficiencies, especially when it comes to the interior pass rush, because it's become an issue for the last 3 years. We don't have that guy that can simply go after and get after the quarterback like we had in a Christian Barmore or a Fedarian Mathis type of player, who, by the way, had Will Anderson help him out to get to the quarterback. We don't have any of those guys that can create opportunities besides maybe Otis. So that's something that has to get better. But if there's anything that I love so much, it was our linebackers. Our secondary played pretty well, but they're playing against the quarterback that just he didn't have an arm. Yeah, he doesn't have the arm to in order to take advantage of those matchups. Our linebackers played phenomenal, and that's one thing that we've has been a huge positive light for the last 3 weeks is linebacking play.
Yeah, Passion of John is something. It just touched on something I wanted to touch on. It's the scheme that the play calling that we're calling. The looks that we're getting obvious third and passing situations, and we're not allowing guys to close gaps. We're not allowing guys to be in position to cut off the flat route, on 3rd and 3 when we know we just shut them down in the run game. We stopped them behind the line on 4th and 5-6 inches. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever the stop was, they're not going to try to run back up the middle. We gotta. I'm trying to figure out where's Kevin Steele. When is Kevin Steele going to show up with his play calling, or when are guys going to just be smart and understand? Hey, watching film last week, we got beat on this little play action with the fullback slipping, H-back slipping out to the flats. Why are we not seeing this, guys? And the IQ is I'm starting to question the IQ, especially on the edges. Not so much with the linebacker, the interior linebackers, but the outside linebackers. We're getting a lot of production from Robinson, Quindarius Robinson. I think he needs to see more snaps than what he's been getting because when he's out there, he's effective. He's not getting to the quarterback every time, but he's effective. He's providing some type of pressure every time he comes off the edge. And then he's solid.
He's our best pass rusher.
And honestly, he's solid in covering the flats too, checking off to cover the running back out the field. He took that key play away tonight too. So I'm curious to see how this defensive play calling continues to develop. I think the secondary needs more chances to play bump and run and really just be cover guys instead of trying to make all these secondary reads off of this motion or this release. Like, let guys get back to playing like man on man football and proving that they can play the ball in the air. Because honestly, today I saw some good play on ball in the air. You know what I'm saying? Like with the lack of quarterback passing ability, we've seen in the past where last year we saw where a quarterback who had no business handling us with the arm was giving us fits. And we didn't have too many of those problems today. So I'm not too dissatisfied with the defense, but that front, we do have to get some pressure. Coach Sean, talk about the secondary because you were very high on Arnold coming into the season. Let's talk about, the secondary as a whole, but highlight Arnold today because, you saw some things.
I mean, it's true what you said. This quarterback didn't really have the ability to test them down the field a lot, but they did test Terrion a few times, and Terrion had the guy in his hip pocket great. He played great technique. If you're going to play bump and run, that's how you got to do it. I think the secondary played well. I understand this is not a prolific passing offense, but for what they had to do, I think they did their jobs tonight. Now, they're going to get tested way more next week. But I do like the fact this team is a fastball team. They try to run as many plays as they can, and the secondary did their jobs. I'd like to have seen us defend crossing routes better. This team didn't run a lot of crossing routes like that for real, a lot of high-low stuff. But I'm not upset at the secondary, man. If you got to play bump and run, you got to play man coverage. That's the way you got to do it. You got to work that receiver. You got to work him, and I think Terrion did a great job. I'm just real upset though with Chris Braswell, man. I know that's not the secondary, but Chris is getting ran over in the run game. I don't know what I honestly think Quindarius Robinson is playing better than him. Man.
That's what I said, man.
Seriously, bro. I don't understand. Tim Kennan is a monster on the run game, but in third and long, he is.
Why are we could continue to put him in that situation? You
Man,
know
I
what,
don't know. I don't
Sean?
know, man.
I think me and you were talking about it when you know how Georgia they rely on what we call our Raptor package.
Yeah.
They rely on that in third down. They don't care
Oh,
if you
yeah.
come out and run heavy or whatever. They gonna put their
Right.
Raptor pack. Why don't we take on that same concept and put all your linebackers out there on the field? So if you have to check off from pressures in the coverage, you're giving you give yourself a better chance to contain. You give yourself a better chance to drop back in coverage, not the level of defensive back coverage, but you're giving yourself a better chance to have a linebacker that can keep up with a tight end slipping out the backfield or a fullback slipping out the backfield or the running back swinging out the backfield and not worrying about your safeties having to get their eyes lost in the backfield because that's what the breakdowns happen.
That's a whole fact. That's a whole fact, man. And I'm excited as ever about Caleb Downs. I know this guy ran in, the running back kind of got underneath him and knocked him down. But let me tell you guys something, man. Go back and look at our safety play over the last couple of years. Caleb can defend the pass, and he's not afraid to throw his shoulder in there, man. Caleb Downs is going to be an All-American. I guarantee you that. You can jot it down here today. Caleb Downs is quietly one of the best players on our defense. Quietly. He's young. He played technique extremely well. I'm going to tell you this, too, and I want every fan to ask themselves this. Who do you think Lane Kiffin rather have at quarterback? Buckner? Ty, who's talented, but Ty is young. He see ghosts right now. They'll eat him alive if they start him against Ole Miss. Or Jalen Milroe, somebody who you could play the perfect defense and he still can kill you. I assure you, Lane is hoping we start Buckner or Ty.
Or Ty Simpson.
This is a whole fact.
Guys, Coach Jay, Coach Sean, y'all sat here and heard me say it probably the first show. If Ty got out there under them lights, he would perform. Tonight, I don't think he got enough time to be under the lights. He got thrown in a horrible situation, post, the game delay. All these small factors played into throwing a freshman on the field. Basically a freshman on the field. He hasn't played any many. He just didn't possess, but the pass where he completed to CJ Dupree, I saw a difference in that boy's eyes. But to say he can go out there and I can put full confidence in him to do that against Ole Miss from the start of the game, and we're going to Ole Miss, aren't we going to down there to what's it called?
No, they're coming to Tuscaloosa.
They coming to T-Town?
Mm-hmm.
Even then, because I know he's gonna dial it up. I know Pete Golden gonna dial it up. Lane Kiffin is not gonna allow Pete Golden to throw this game for him. You know how Lane is coming. Lane is not going to be shy about sending pressure. They sent pressure last year against us, and we know they had a more stout defensive front last year. If our offensive line is struggling right now with the defensive fronts we've seen, the way we've been struggling, and the thing is, we had spots in Texas game where we could grow from. This game, I'm just like no consistency anywhere. So I definitely would think we need Milroe because he gets us out of a lot of those mistakes that we see the offensive line and play calling get us into. So, and if anybody else sees differently, I don't see how you can say you want this team to win. Milroe has showcased that he wants to win. Above all else, he wants to win. He might not be the perfect quarterback, but he's always shown that he wants to win. Hey, and my boy Quentin Young said, this is a mess. Coach Shaw, he said, this is a mess. He said, I think Ty built some confidence this game, and with a week of getting all the starter reps, he'll be fine. I'm not sure, Bama Jeff. I just don't have no confidence. Coach Jay, Coach Sean, y'all disagree with me as far as having that confidence in Ty to go out against Ole Miss, even though it's a home game, even though he showed some promising things. Coach Sean, you want to go or Coach Jay? Which one of y'all want to go first?
I'll make it quick, Coach Jay. I'll make it quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I told y'all last week, I'm going to tell you again. If you start Ty Simpson, it's not about talent, guys. It's not about talent. It's about scheme when you got a young quarterback. He can be the most talented quarterback in the world. If you don't put him in a position to be successful, you're judging Jalen. I say it again, man. Texas defense was awesome, right? He threw two horrible interceptions. We know that. We all said before the season, if the guy turns the ball over, obviously it was going to be a problem. Ty is talented, but he is young. Did you not see him tonight? USF just brought pressure. They was playing basic as you gonna ever see. He was seeing goals. I would not want to start a young man like that against Lane Kiffin and Pete Golding. You can say what you want to about Pete Golding, but a young quarterback starting that man is like child abuse. I'm telling you, you better put Milroe out there, somebody that can get you out of trouble that you know our offensive line is going to put us in. You know what I mean? Not me.
Right.
I'd rather go with Milroe and live or die with it.
Right. Shout out to Tobias, my guy. Hey, me and Tobias go back to the TD. Well, all of us go back to TDA days, man.
Yeah,
So,
I know
hey,
you,
shout out to
Tobias.
that's my dude, man. I wish we had caller show for this one because I would love to hear a lot of you guys' take. I haven't seen our guy Always Believe. I haven't seen him in the chat tonight. I'm missing him. Shout out Jim, a long time fan of the channel. Bama Jeff. It's a lot of you guys in here. I'm not going to continue to call out names. I don't want nobody to feel slighted or anything, but that's just a few that I know that I've been able to be in contact with. But Tobias says, I'm glad Kyle has you on, Coach S, and other peeps on. Nice to hear people that know the game chop it up. J Mill gives us the best chances, but I like Ty, hopefully for the future. I think everybody shares that same sentiment that knows football. We see that Ty, with some meaningful prep and off season and some better scheming, he could possibly be the answer. I mean, that's my thing with Ty. You throw him out there and the type of play calling we're getting right now, it doesn't help him. It doesn't help him. I think putting Ty in that read option, he did that perfect. That's a part of his skill set. He might not be as fast, but that's a part of his skill set. And the type of touch he had on that pass to Dupree, you continue to open that up by not putting all the pressure on his arm. Let him put those other aspects to use that people not expecting from him. And I think with Milroe, you have to just depend on what he does best. He's a playmaker. What do playmakers have to do with? They have to use their legs. They have to use their legs. Playmakers use their legs to make plays. Coach Jay, talk to us about the performance, man. I mean, we could keep circling around this thing talking about the particulars, but overall, somebody has to step up.
I got it. You make a good point there, and shout out to Laker Swag for the super chat. 199. He says we're the teammates that got on each other's asses. I mean, Coach, you want to talk about that in a little bit after this?
Yeah, I was going to say either go there because that's one that I know we want to tackle, and I want to give us each ample amount of time to just the utter discuss. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah,
if y'all want to go there now, we can go there now. It's up to you, Jay. If you want to take it, go ahead and take it.
Okay. Well, I mean, we talked about it last week, guys. We talked about it last week. Is that there's no accountability. There's no standard. There's nothing, and it goes all the way back to the locker room. What's going on inside the locker room? What's going on? Are we keeping the tradition? Are we trusting the process? Are we believing in Saban? And right now, it just seems like right now we're in a team full of individuals. There are no. Last year, there was maybe one showcase, one time where there was a sense of accountability, and that was when DeMarco Helms during that A&M game. I forgot who. Somebody missed their assignment. DeMarco Helms had to cover for it.
Jaquez Robinson.
It was over Jaquez Robinson, and DeMarco just got on him. That was the one time that we've seen it in the last 3 years, as far as just holding players accountable and showing leadership. I don't know where it is, but it's become a problem. I think it's a big problem as to why we're here right now. We got to have more players that showcase leadership. We got to have more players that can hold each other accountable and that can push each other to become better on and off the field. Because if we don't, we're gonna be in a part of the situation. Again, we can talk about the schematics and we can talk about how coordinators aren't doing their jobs and how players aren't really doing their jobs, but it starts off the field as well, guys. And it starts with these players overall wise, as far as continuity goes, how close these guys can get. Are they playing for the team or are they playing for themselves to try to get their draft stock up? Like it's a lot of it. And so, it's a question that it's going to be asked probably pretty much the entire season. This is going to get answered. Somebody could probably ask Nick Saban about this in the press conference as soon as we can get that up. But it's definitely a concern. It's something that we definitely got to try to fix. But this is not nothing new. This is something that we've been talking about all off season. 3 years now we've been talking about this, and it's definitely become an issue.
Jay, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but Jalen Milroe done popped up in the chat, man.
Uh-oh.
My guy said, should have put me in. I would have cooked they. So, y'all, hey.
You saw Milroe smile on the sideline.
Hey, we saw you smiling. We saw the little stretch of it. But one thing I will say, and since we on the subject, before I let Coach Sean go, I would have loved to seen Jalen Milroe in everybody's ear. I would have loved to seen that motivation and the same type of leadership, that when Jalen Hurts got benched, I saw just as much talking between him and the coaching staff and the offensive line. Then, then I saw with Tua. It wasn't a thing where he sat back. So I would have loved to see that, but you can't blame the guy, man. He literally got pulled after playing a ranked team. Mm-hmm. And we watched a quarterback struggle against an unranked All-American conference team for 6 drives before he got pulled. So that's my problem. Shout out to my boy David Kendall. The best was AJ McCarron and his center BCS game. Ultimate showcase of accountability. Coach Sean, talk about that situation about the statement. And I'm not gonna quote this verbatim, but y'all remember the statement was made by the reporters when they noticed. She said, I remember times when I would be on the Alabama sideline and they would be struggling in games, and you would hear the juniors and the senior leadership down there digging in the guys and grilling. I don't see any of that. And to me, that's a concern. When she said that, that's when I knew everybody in college football is seeing the same thing. Coach Sean, take it away.
Bro, I spoke on this forever and a day. I know Rolando McClain personally. We don't even call him Rolando. We call him Boo. Been knowing Boo and his mama Tanya forever. Bro, when you don't have that sheriff, somebody got to be the bad guy, man. Somebody got to be the bad guy. Somebody got to be the guy. I can remember when Reuben Foster, when I think it was Deontay Thomas and somebody got into it on the sideline, Ronnie Harrison maybe on the sideline, and Reuben was over there ready to jump on both of them. You got to have a bad guy, man. You got to have a sheriff, somebody who's going to police themselves. You got to have that type of leadership. It's so crazy because I can remember when the DBs were saying that they were more afraid of Rolando than they was Coach. You know, understand what I'm saying? You got to have guys on the offense and defense that's going to get in other players' face and hold them accountable, just like you guys said. And I don't think we have that guy. And to your point, Coach Smook, if the announcer saw that after being on our sideline for previous teams, what does that tell you? Man, we got a lot of guys. I got a lot of friends on that staff right now. Josh Chapman is my boy. Man, listen, you got a lot of talent on that team, but this generation, I know I sound like the old dude, but this game will humble you, man. This is not swimming. This is not basketball. This is not volleyball. Football is a collision sport, bro. It's not a contact sport. Basketball is a contact sport. Football is a collision sport. So that means at some point when you play like talent, you're going to have to find that inner fortitude, man, that dog, as we call it, to step up and play this game. And right now, man, we don't have that, brother. We got a lot of talented individuals. And I'll say it, I see it in Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs, a freshman, but he played every play 100%. He played every play, man, like it's his last. And, you don't see that from a lot. That's why the older players are upset, man. That's why you hear the guys chiming in like, what the hell is going on, man? So, and listen, I don't cut the player. I'm not one of those players that, and I'm probably gonna make some fans mad when I say this, but it's the truth, man. I think the sooner you realize this, the sooner you can be true with yourself. I'm not one of those fans that give Coach Saban all the credit, but then when something bad go wrong, it's Pete Golding's fault or somebody else's fault. No, brother, this is the same defense we've had at Alabama in recent memory, and right now we getting out coached. Our last 4 biggest games, we're 1-3 against Tennessee, LSU, Texas, and Kansas State. We beat Kansas State. We've got our kicked in the other 3. You know what I mean? And when I say that, I'm not talking about score-wise. I'm talking about line of scrimmage-wise.
Handling business, yep.
Handling business-wise. So Pete Golding's gone. What's your excuse now? You know what I'm saying? I know the defense, yeah, facts. Bill O'Brien's gone. So we got to start looking internally to what's going on, guys. That's all I'm saying.
And Coach Jay, go ahead before you go. I'm sorry. Crimson Blood, shout out to you for the $50 super chat, man. Y'all are coming in with the super chats tonight. We definitely greatly appreciate it, man, for y'all supporting, man. And Coach Jay, what were you about to say, man? I know you about to hit on the same point. We about to knock this one out the park. I already know it. Go ahead, brother.
Oh no, I was just for the most part I had to cough, but no. For the most part, no. I mean, no. Coaches, you guys are right. You guys are absolutely right. This is an internal thing, and again, Coach Saban, you got to get blamed, brother. As much as I love Coach Saban, as much as we can respect the 6 national championships, the endless SEC titles and West titles, the 9 national championship appearances, at the end of the day, these are your hires. These are the players that you evaluated. And these are the players and coaching staff, including strength and conditioning. Everybody deserves blame. But at the end of the day, this starts with Nick Saban. It starts at the top. He brought them into the program. And so the fact that, for the most part, he doesn't get any sort of blame at all, and everybody wants to blame the coordinators and the positional coaches, but the head man doesn't take any of the blame at all, that's not right. Again, Nick Saban's the GOAT. He's the greatest coach of all time, but he deserves blame for this. He brought these people in. And, and like I said, can he fix it? Absolutely, he can fix it. But this is not going to get fixed overnight. We're going to have issues all throughout the season. It's just going to happen. This is something that hasn't been fixed since 2021. Ever since when we had everybody thought in 2022 and 2023 the offensive line was going to be fixed. What did people talk about? How this was the greatest offensive line of all time, the amount of 5-stars, talent. We haven't gotten fixed since 2020. Since 2020, guys, it's been 3 years since that season. So that's just an example of situations where it's happening a lot. It's not going to get fixed overnight. This is something that's going to take a process. And this is what we talked about in the beginning of the season, that when we all got together for the first time. This was one of the first things we talked about, how this was going to be a process. This is when you're trying to establish a philosophy, when you're trying to talk, get the quote unquote murder ball that's going on, and you're trying to get that. That's not going to happen overnight. It'll be great if it can. And for the most part, some of us bought into that. But this is going to take a while for that to happen. And one of the things, in order to make that happen, you got to have a change in personnel. And you have to have the right coaches. You have to have the right people in place to get these players to be in that sort of situation in the first place. So we'll see what happens overall wise. But I mean, like I said, this starts at the top. Coach Saban has got to get some blame for this performance. Coach Saban, and it almost seemed like, I don't know if it's me, guys, it almost seemed like it was a troll job that he didn't put Jalen Murrow in. Like he wanted to show.
Yes. Did I not? I think I posted it on Twitter, y'all.
Show the fans
on Twitter. I said, at this point, Coach Saban is trolling us. At this point, he's trolling us. I think at this point, Coach Saban is proving a point, not to us, but to his players. We're going to have to get it my way, or it's not going to work out. Y'all going to continue to keep on retreating back to your Instagram posts. Keep on retreating back to your NIL deals. You're going to have to deal with that and suffer, because your NFL career going to suffer from it. Draft stock is going to suffer from these guys not performing on the field. And guys are going to have to wait until draft day to figure it out. Like Henry To'oTo'o, who suffered from the lack of coaching because guys just didn't buy into what was being taught. You get what I'm saying? Like the thing is, right now with Alabama, there's an identity crisis. There's an identity crisis with players who have not gone through the proper process to be able to say, this is Alabama. That group of players left probably like 2018, 2019. We got to see Mac Jones carry those guys over in 2020. But as soon as that nucleus of guys left that got to experience that last travesty of hard work effort in the SEC trying to hold off Kirby Smart and those guys, man, it's like a flip has changed. And for some reason, we cannot get grips. And I'm telling you guys, it's a mentality thing. We need coaches on the sideline that are going to tear into guys. We need, like you said, we need players on the sideline that don't mind. I don't care if I don't go out there for the first snap of the game. I care about winning. And you playing in front of me right now, you're going to have to tighten up. For real, man. If you in front of me, they got you out there for a reason. Show them why you out there. You get what I'm saying? I don't need guys trying to compete against each other to show each other up. Compete against each other so that we put the best product out on the field. I want, man, the wide receiver group, I'm so proud of the wide receivers. I know this is a little bit off topic, but the wide receiver group, I saw Jalen Hill go out there and guys were really just celebrating the fact that he was out there, just being out there. The kid has promise. Jermaine Burton out there coaching young guys up in the timeout. I see communication happening. Why can't this type of energy be infectious across the whole team? Where's the disconnect there? We got to find the answer, y'all, because like we said, Lane Kiffin, I don't think is much more so of a scheme thing that he's looking at. He's looking at mentality. He's looking at the fastest way he can punch Alabama in the mouth. He's looking at the fastest way he can punch him in the mouth, because he knows if he could punch us in the mouth early, he's already won half the battle. based off of what this team is displaying. And I don't discount it at all that he's going to go big play off in the first drive. I see it. Play action over the top. I see him trying to catch Caleb Downs. And how we respond to something like that early in the game is going to determine the rest of the season. A simple one play in the game to start the game off against Ole Miss and what they're bringing to the table is going to tell us a lot about what we're going to see the rest of this season.
Shout out to Eric Thomas.
Where he at?
Eric Thomas right here. Yep, because I'm watching because you know what I'm getting text messages right now. What Wyoming's punching Texas in the mouth, and when you take a look at the interior for both the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball, they're playing with heart and they're showcasing
playing with heart, effort, man. I'm sitting here, y'all see me keep looking over here because I can't believe the type of effort that's being displayed outside. Like, if anything, y'all remember that's what made your highly touted freshmen get on the field. Your effort in the special teams, your effort with the 3 or 4 snaps you're going to get during the game to relieve the 2 guys in front of you. Like, where's the effort, man? Coach Sean, you was about to say something, man. Go ahead.
I wanted to give a shout out to Ephraim. I think his name is Ephraim. He said Coach Saban tried to make a point to the fans today. That's what we was just talking about by not putting Milroe in the game and letting everybody see how we look without Milroe. But to the same comment, Ephraim, you were saying that USF had 40 players from the portal. I've seen the portal as an excuse from a couple of comments. Let me address the portal right quick about USF. USF beat Florida A&M by 7 points. Florida A&M scored more points on that team than we did. I don't want to hear no excuses about no portal. Respectfully, because we have top talent on the team. I don't give a damn about no portal. None of that. It's no excuse. Florida A&M looked better against that team than we did. Let me say that again, so I get perturbed sometimes. Florida A&M looked better against South Florida than the University of Alabama. Please stop it with the NIL excuses, the portal, and all of this stuff. Every team in college is dealing with NIL.
Yep.
Every team. Alabama is actually dealing with a lot better than a lot of other schools. It's no excuse. The portal, NIL, none of that has nothing to do with a lineman getting clean knocked off 5 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Nothing at all. Please stop it with the excuses. Respectfully.
Yeah. Sean, and last week, that's what my point was alluded to when we was talking about how Martin E. Black was after the game. All this extra stuff does not play into guys literally just losing matchups on the field. We're talking about guys having effort. I don't think guys are so distracted and caught up with social media that is keeping them from making effort plays on the field. That has nothing. It's not film study. It's literally effort. We don't see any heart right now. What in recruiting are we missing when we're talking to these guys? When Coach Saban is pulling up in these guys' living rooms and going to these barbecues and doing Cupid shuffles, what questions are we not asking that we asked Rolando McClain to get him to come to Alabama? What questions are we not asking that we went and asked guys like Jalen Waddle, who played on basically a surgically repaired ankle that was not ready, showed up in the national championship to go out there and play his heart out. And where are those guys at? And I mean, it's crazy that a team under Coach Saban for this long, we've seen transition periods under Coach Saban. We've seen down years, 2 lost years, almost 3, should have been 3, 4 lost years, but we've seen years like this, and they were not this bad when you talk about effort and energy on the sideline and just the small things that matter, y'all. And we're not going to, on this show, I know me and my brothers, we're not going to slight nobody when it comes to holding them accountable. As fans, we've been saying some crazy stuff, but every gripe and complaint that I've seen from tonight is legit. I'm starting to see not what you all have been saying, but I'm starting to see football happen. And it's not, we're not footballing right now at Alabama. We're not playing football at the end of the day. Guys are out there, and I say we did better than tackling, but it was a lot of plays where we should have had sacks. It should have been no. Go ahead, brother.
Can I say this real quick? Because I don't want this comment to go past. Respectfully, shout out to Eric. Oh, shout out to the QTAC $10 donation. Alabama looked like the late 90s today. Facts. Also, shout out to Eric D right here. He says, "Where are the Reuben Fosters and the Tony Browns?" I want everybody to really look at that comment and listen to what that young man said, because I'm gonna be the one to tell you. When we used to play LSU and Texas A&M and all these, Tony Brown was out there with no shirt on in 30 below zero weather, running through the other team.
Exactly.
You don't have to talk about it. Go back and Google this. Alabama versus Notre Dame 2012. Look at them boys coming out of the locker room. Watch how Notre Dame look at them like, yep, this is going to be an L.
Yeah, this is going to be ugly, boys.
This is going to be ugly. Them dudes knew what they was about, bro. They knew what they was about. They understood what the standard was, and they was not going to drop the line. So I'm not here comparing players. I'm just saying it's a little different today. We got to find a way to get back to how it used to be. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to bring a solution, not necessarily add to the problem.
And guys, we talk about how big this offensive line, God. You would think mentally in football, naturally, bigger guys usually feel like they have the advantage, right? Like they usually feel like they have the advantage. I don't see guys carrying themselves like they feel like they know they should be dominated. And I want to see some type of fire. And maybe, and let's start to bring some light into this. Y'all remember the year we lost? I mean, we beat Arkansas by 1 point in the rainy game. And Coach Saban came out, we're not playing for you. That's for damn sure. You remember that? So, preferably, this is one of those moments, man. I keep wanting to see, because of the talent, man. The talent that we have spread out across this roster, there is no reason why we shouldn't be able to flip on the switch and see this team go from absolute worst possible case scenario and give us absolute best case scenario for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then we could kind of expect, know what to expect when they in between. Right now, we've only seen our worst on a consistent level. We've seen spots of greatness, spots of glimpses of perfect passes, perfect protection, perfect run, perfect tackle, perfect, gap containment, perfect blitz, perfect coverage. We've seen glimpses of this, but at what point do we turn that light on and kind of just run the power bill up? Let's overwork everything in the box to maximum effort for 60 minutes. For one game, absolute execution for one game, and let's see what this team can really bring, because I believe we have the talent, guys. I believe we have the talent. It's the small things. It's more on the mental that I believe we need to overcome before we see truly what this team is made of, man. And let me get to this super chat. Did we hit the super chat?
We got a lot of super chats. Yeah, we had a lot. We had from Greg.
Let me get we got Buck.
Shout out
I think we
Buck.
did. Hey, shout out my boy. Yeah, Buck. Shout out Buck. $5. From how we played, you would think we had 0 losses and didn't have our back against the wall, no heart. Y'all remember that was my hope last season. I said, hopefully we come out and play desperate the rest of the season. That was the main thing. If we saw desperation, I would feel different. You get what I'm saying? But we don't. David Kendall, once again, with a $5 super chat. A 360 plus. Yeah, that's my dude, man. A 360 plus pound offensive lineman should be pushing a defensive lineman 10 plus yards down the field off the line of scrimmage, especially when the lineman across from you is 258. You warming up bench press. You talking about doing 70%. You warming up with that. Why are you not throwing this guy around the field in the first quarter? At least in the first quarter. I can understand if we third quarter and you've been doing it all game and you need 1 or 2 off, you need to catch a win and you leaning a little bit. But from the start of the game, you should be blowing them up. Coach Jay.
Yes, sir.
Final take on just this overall direction of this team heading into Ole Miss. Do we take this game and really bottle it up and right off the season, or do we take this game and look at the obvious things that we look at this game and take from this game and move forward going into Ole Miss?
Gotcha. Before I kind of get into that, shout out to Greg Reed. He sent a $20 super chat. He said, "Great show, fellas." We appreciate all you. Yep. We appreciate all you that you contribute to the show, man. Keep supporting us, man. We really appreciate it. And then Killtack, he said he had a $10 super chat. He said Alabama looked like the late '90s. God, for anyone who thankfully I was born late, but my goodness gracious, yeah, we look really bad.
Before you go, Jay, you said you was born when?
98. So I'm a young boy.
So you were coming in. You were born in the worst. 98 was
Oh, yeah.
horrible. You were born in the worst, and 99 almost like we almost had glimpses of almost coming back. And then y'all remember Coach Shaw, you remember 2000, man?
Yeah.
2001.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean Alexander we thought we was gonna have something, man. But yeah, go ahead, Coach Jay. What are you taking away from this game going into Ole Miss game, man? Positives, negatives, whatever you can conjure up to get this team on the right road. What's your take?
Well, the positive is that I think this offensive line does have some potential that they were able to showcase. I think that they were able to get that composure back once Ty Simpson made that big play to CJ Dupree. And then you saw that the confidence was getting spewed on and we were able to run the football effectively and we were able to get a push. So I think we do show signs of composure. I think we do show signs that we can be the Bama of old and that we can drive people back off the line of scrimmage. We can communicate. Because again, we've had rough games. Seth McLaughlin has had a terrible game as far as having a snap, whether it was to the left, to the right, too high, too low. It was just not there. But he got a lot better once we started to get the confidence established until our OC decided to throw the football, and then we started to lose yardage and we wasted drives because of that. But no, I mean, I think the offensive line wise, I think there are signs. There's signs that we can try to get back into there. And hopefully next week we go with Jalen Miro. We can have something built around it and we can try to establish running the football like we said we were going to try to do in the first place. So hopefully that can happen. Our linebackers, again, they played excellent today. They played excellent. And I'm not going to, again, we made some mistakes that should have been on some of our inside linebackers, but I put that more on Kevin Steele for not putting these players in the right particular positions than these guys themselves. I thought that Quindarius Robinson had a really good game. I thought he was effective especially as a blitzer. The same thing with Kendrick Blackshire. Kendrick Blackshire did a great job penetrating the hole whenever they was trying to send him. I thought Deontay Lawson was definitely the MVP, and then our secondary played great. Again, I just think
quick take, Coach Jay, before you continue. Not Kendrick Blackshire. Do you think we need to let this guy get on the edge?
Yes. And honestly, you can make an argument about Jahad Campbell.
Oh, yes. Exactly. Oh my God. I think they're your more viable, fair options for Dallas Turner on that side, because Dallas Turner is not getting the production. Y'all, he played solid. He played better tonight. But pass rush wise, he's not getting that initial push. He's recovering, but he's not getting that strong initial push that you want from the edge like we're used to in the past.
Yep. It's time for us to go back to Rashaan Evans type ball during 2015 and 2016.
Oh,
just put him on the edge and just get after just go play.
Great.
We're not going to give you too much responsibility. Go. Just look what Texas did with Anthony Hill. They brought him, like, literally, as far as meaningful snaps, Alabama was his first game as far as meaningful snaps.
Yep.
All he did was put him in the game, play quarterback contain, and occasionally play him on the edge and just go. We're not going to give you too much responsibility. Just be an athlete. Be a 5-star athlete. And you saw the production that he was able to have and what Rashaan Evans was able to produce the first 2 years. Imagine if we start doing that more consistently with Jahad Campbell, with Quindarius Robinson and Kendrick Blackshire. The amount of production we will have coming off the edge because these guys, again, and I like Turner and I like Braswell, but these guys, as far as quickness, as far as acceleration, as far as burst acceleration, are monsters. So instead of just sending them strictly up the middle, let's get them. Let's be a little bit more versatile. Let's be a little bit more diverse. Get them off the edge, because I'm telling you, man, these are impactful guys. These are 5 stars for a reason. And again, if there's any strong takeaway, it's the fact that we saw a lot of that potential from our freshmen and a lot of these 5 stars that just didn't get over play time because we decided to run with Henry T over the years. So there's promise, there's something there. But obviously the negatives kind of outweigh a lot of the benefits, and we got to get better at that.
Correct. Hey, shout out to my guy, David Kendall, lighting up the super chats tonight for us, man, showing mad support.
Shout out to David Kendall.
David Kendall.
Hey, that's my guy. Hey, I love when Sean come behind. Shout out. The radio voice, man. I think Miro will be back starting next weekend. I believe this was the test for the other QBs. The cake is in the counter. The oven still preheating. We got one of them old school gas preheating ovens, man. That might take 30 minutes to get to 280, and that's still not hot enough to bake a cake. So we definitely got to figure something out, man. Coach Sean, same question to you, man. Final takeaways from this game going into league play. What do we see positive and negatives going into this game against Ole Miss? Take it away, brother.
Man, on the offensive side of the ball, the positives is extremely hard for me to come by, man. I won't even lie to you. Um, on offense, to me, just my humble opinion, I think we need to go back with Milroe against this game. I would not want to start Ty against this team. If we had USF coming up again next week, after Ty had already played the way he played today, I would say start him, let him get some experience. Against Ole Miss, I wouldn't want to start him. I don't really have a good take on the offense, man. I still want to see Justice Haynes play because I think he brings a burst that Jace and Roydell doesn't have. Those guys playing well, Jason Roydell, but they don't have that second gear. It's like they get to the second level and they always get tackled most of the time. I want to see Justice Haynes. He has that next gear. Defensively, I'm very high on our defense. And I was reading the chats and people was like, we don't have a lot of experience. Where at? Where do we have experience at? Even the guys in the secondary who come from UAB and Louisiana both are experienced. Caleb Downs is the only unexperienced guy in the secondary. If you're talking about just playing
solid.
Yeah, if you're just talking about playing snaps, Terrion played last year. All those guys played last year. Tim Keenan, you know what I mean? But everybody else, Chris Braswell played a lot. Dallas started. We got 3 or 5 offensive linemen back from last year. All the receivers are back. What outside of quarterback and left tackle? Where are we young at? So I'm just not with the excuses tonight, bro. I'm a little different tonight. You got to apologize, man. I don't like how we're playing. So for me, the positives is our defense, but I think this game has a potential to expose us again if we don't find some type of continuity on offense because Lane is going to try to run 975,000 plays in this game. You can be rest assured of that. So if we go 3 and out in this, let me say it right now so we can rewind it back. If we don't find a way to find some continuity on the offensive side of the ball, we're going to look up in the fourth quarter and we're going to be in another fight come Saturday because Lane is going to run a multitude of different things. He's going to throw the kitchen sink at us. We cannot go 3 and out, punt against this team because our defense will be on the field for 40 snaps in the first half if we allow that. So my final take is I'm high on the defense. I'm high on Tim Keenan. I'm high on Caleb Downs. I think we need to start Quindarius Robinson in front of Braswell for right now. If we're trying to get pressure, I'm not down on our defense at all, man. They have been the one bright spot to me that's been playing well. Our offense constantly puts them in horrible field position issues. And if that team had an offense today, we might have been in some trouble. You know what I'm saying? So that's for that reason, I feel like we got to start Milroe just to be safe. Shout out to Eric D. I mean, that's it for me, man. The bright spot is the defense. I hadn't seen any bright spots on the offense.
Right. I'm right there with you, man. I have no major complaints with the defense other than continuing to work on getting that interior push with our defensive front, continuing to make things easier for the inside linebacker play. Shout out to my guy Duke to Go 2020 for the $5 super chat. Coordinators have to account for Jalen's athleticism, spies, rushers staying in their lane. With Todd, they could just rush the passer. I agree to a certain extent because Ty showed tonight that he has. I just don't think he's ready right now to be going against Ole Miss. That's the only thing. If this was, like Sean said, if this was another FCS pickup cupcake game, by all means, let him go out there and sling it next week. See what he does in live gameplay where he's able to settle in and create his own momentum, not have to go in and clean up for somebody in front of him who just could not get any type of production. By the time he got in, nobody was in rhythm. Offensive line, running backs, wide receiver, nobody was in rhythm. So it's different when you come in a game where there's opportunities being produced and rhythm is kind of being established. There was no rhythm with Ty Butler in the game. So let's not discount that, but definitely hopefully we can see some changes with Jalen Milroe being that quarterback and the play calling. Shout out to David Kendall again with the $2 super chat. Where will Alabama be ranked after this crap show? Man, I would be surprised if we stay in the top 10. I'd be surprised. I wouldn't mind us going down to 12 and having to prove ourselves in first week league play. I wouldn't mind that. So great question, great point. People need to stop thinking this is like 2015 season, but it's nowhere near it. Shout out to Javian Smith for the $5. Hey, Javian, I understand your frustrations after the game tonight, but there's always hope when you got Nick Saban. He's going to have to continue to prove me otherwise. You get what I'm saying? So he's done it for 15 years. At some point, he's always found a way to turn the switch on. Let's just hope as fans, realistically, that he could get these things cleaned up on the staff and on the field. Shout out to Lakers Swag 11 for the 199 super chat. We miss them Sark and Kiffin offenses. Boy, don't you say, because we would have seen, I don't know how many read options with Jalen Miro last week against Texas, and the way he was breaking them off when he did use his legs. And one more from my boy Ephraim Davis. The portal has impacted the game, like it or not, to an extent. At the end of the day, we still supposedly have the better, highly talented, rated players. We supposedly have the better programs, the better facilities. All of these things supposed to play into putting a more dominant team on the field, and we're just not producing on the field. Sean, I see you itching. Go ahead and say something, bro.
I want that fan to type in the chat how. Tell me how the portal has effect. I want that young man to tell me how the portal helped USF kick our ass today. I want to know that. Why didn't that same portal team help him against Florida A&M last week? I want the young man in the chat to tell me, how did the portal help USF today against Alabama? I want to know that.
Yep.
I'm right. Y'all heard me last week. I said it all comes down to play on the field. Effort, everything that matters when you come talking about completing the play and just going out there and being what all these accolades and things that you've been granted by all these outlets, by this coaching staffs, by the media, everything. The thing you've been doing for the past 18 years or however many years of your life at a high level to get you to this point, you're not doing. And so I just, to take away from this game defensively, I even though the defense plays solid, I want to see our secondary in more opportunities to be cover guys. I don't want them waiting. I want them to be able to disrupt routes early. And when they have those opportunities, they are effective. Our linebacker play is beautiful. It's beautiful right now. Inside linebacker play is beautiful right now. Yeah, there's slip-ups, but these guys they're compensating for not having a defensive front in them being dominant. They're doing their job. They're being solid. Tim Lovett, shout out again. These players play entitled and undisciplined. If I could close my statement, that would be my last statement. These players have to stop playing with this sense of entitlement and thinking that kids are showing up like we did growing up when I graduated in 2008, looking at Alabama saying, man, I would hate to line up against Alabama. When I lined up 2009 as a freshman at Faulkner University, I was like, man, I would hate to line up across from DB at Alabama. You got guys at D2 schools that's waiting to get film against Alabama because they see the game changing. They see what's happening. And until we flip that switch on, it's going to be ugly, y'all. So take it away from this game. Offensively, go with Jalen Miro, of course. Rely on the run game. I mean, my guys hit it. They all hit it on top of the head. Let's get that 3-back rotation in. I don't see Jam Miller being patient enough yet. Let Justice get out there and get some chances to prove that he's mature and be the relief back for Roydell and Jace, because they're solid. That two-man punch right there is solid. Add Jalen Miro into that mix. I'm talking about implementing his legs in the run game, not making him make decisions to go, but saying, hey, this is read, run. You give him a better chance to be successful for this offense. And also you open it up for those wide receivers because his deep ball is the best deep ball we have right now. Point blank, period. Even Ty Simpson, that wasn't a deep ball. That was just a great over top of the linebacker. Safety had rolled out. Perfect placement. I didn't get to see his deep ball tonight, so I can't be confident in that going against Ole Miss. So I would love to see those small changes made. And I think those small things, aggressiveness, effort, and just execution, man, will give us the Alabama team we expected. Honestly, small things like that will give us the Alabama team we expected. Because how many times have we been in position to just make plays, guys, and have not made plays in the past 3 weeks?
A whole bunch.
So, and that's my closing point on it, guys. I don't want to continue to drag it along because we do have Ole Miss coming in. You guys will be able to engage in all that content during the week. But overall, man, it's a win. Not beautiful, not how we wanted it. Definitely not what we expected. I don't think any of us, as bad as we played, as much as we got exposed against Texas, I didn't expect us to come out and look as bad and unprepared on the offensive side with Buckner back there. I thought we would be able to see some type of improvement with Coach Saban making that decision to put him out there, because Miro, he didn't lose that game last week. he had 2 turnovers that turned into 10 points, but we also had two scores called back. We gave up a big late score. Like, it was more factors than Miro and those 2 turnovers. So we be realistic about this. We have a lot of space to grow. We have to grow. Let's go through our chats, man. Let's go through these comments and acknowledge some of these. Come on, Sean. I had to mute you because we're getting feedback from that side. I think your speaker is routed.
Oh no. How's that? How's that, sir?
Good. We're good.
So check
Coach
this out.
Day.
Let me say this before you do the chat. There was one young man who was commenting about the coaching staff. I want him to understand that I said this on the radio on Kyle's show. I don't think the coaching staff is bad, but he was referring to 2015-16 staff. I want him to understand who was on the 2015-16 staff. You had Lane Kiffin. Well, no, I'm not even gonna call the names. You had Ole Miss's head coach. You had Florida's head coach. You had Miami's head coach. You had Georgia's head coach. You had Michigan State's, I guess you want to call him a head coach or former
Mel
head coach.
Tucker?
I don't know. Mel Tucker.
He just got fired. So
Just
head
got
coach.
fired. Right. You had Burton Burns, who coached for the Giants, running backs coach, and for Alabama. You had Dan Lanning, who's Oregon head coach. You had Tosh Lupor, who's UCLA's offensive coordinator, I think. All these guys were on one staff. You understand? So it probably will never be another staff like that.
And then Glenn Schumann. Glenn Schumann's arguably the best defensive coordinator in the country.
Facts.
We don't even know who was there as analysts that got away when the mass exodus started happening with Kirby, with Lane. Like, I mean, we just don't know how much we've had to rebound, and we're starting to see it now. You're talking about 5 years removed from we're 3 years removed from our last national championship.
Yeah.
And we're how many years removed from Kirby leaving 2016? So that's 7 years removed from Kirby leaving. I mean, removed from Kirby leaving, and then Pruitt was probably our last dominant showing of defensive coordinator. And Lapoy, he maintained. We started seeing the decline when Lapoy there, but he maintained because he had a lot of talent. And one thing about Tosh Lapoy, he put us in bad position because he was over aggressive. And I can appreciate a guy like that. I can appreciate a guy like that when you're talking about guys getting beat on quick slants in short passing down conversion, like those type of plays. I can live with that with Tosh Lapoy. But you know, like we were saying, guys, it's a lot of things that have to change in order for us to return to being dominant. And if we don't see it early, and I mean, Jalen Miro has to be the starter. If we don't see points coming from him in the first 2 drives, I'm worried. I don't care if it's a field goal first drive, another deep drive, another field goal. I have more confidence than us going 3 and out. Being on the field, offense being on the field for averaging 1 minute and 7 seconds of time possession on the field. That's horrible when you're talking about your defense, get your defense out there. Shout out to Chubbo the analysis. This was Saban's way to show all the spectators why Milroe is a starter, Roll Tide. You think, and everybody, we keep saying that. Everybody keeps wanting to allude to that way of thinking, but do you think Saban really risked his shot at his season trying to prove a point at the quarterback position? I don't think so. I think Buckner has been probably balling out in practice, showing that he can handle it. And like I said, when it's time for him to get under them lights, that boy gonna fold.
My question is, what are we doing in practice to make him look like Joe Montana? If he's
not
practicing,
not knowing that you're not going to get hit changes the whole mentality of doggone. You get what I'm saying? And not allowing your defensive lineman to play through plays and get hits on your fourth or fifth string quarterback that should be out there trying to prove himself anyways in scout team. Not letting these guys go out there and earn it like you used to have to. I remember playing scout team quarterback in college against the ones, 1A, 1B. And we had 2 guys that transferred from Ole Miss that were D1 guys coming and playing D2 football. So I remember taking a few of those hits trying to run read option against these guys. They were just mauling guys. So I don't know. There's something that has to change internally with this team. Shout out to my boy Adam Leparello. You know I'm country. Don't charge to my head, not my heart. This is a culture problem. They aren't listening to Saban and doing the hard work and having the mental toughness needed to be successful. Is it they're not listening to Saban, or is what Coach Saban teaching outdated? Another topic we can get to on a later show. Yeah. But hey, Coach Jay, you said it. I can't remember what show it was on, But you started talking about schematically, the defense just seems a little bit outdated when you talk about the simple
For
changes
sure.
that other guys are making in their defenses to be effective. They're not doing anything special. I think all this dressing before snap and all this stuff is really hurting us when you talk about production and consistency on the defense. And when we allow those guys to play football, line up, get your man, lock him down, hold your gap, that's when I see effective defensive play from our defense. So let's just take it for what it is tonight, y'all. It's a win. Alabama, we're 2-1. Not as pretty as we would want it to be, but we're going into conference play with another win under our belt. Still a lot of questions at the quarterback position. Still a lot of questions at the offensive line. And I think we sure that up and get some more effectiveness. That just changes the whole trajectory of this team. Being able to hold the ball on offense and extend drives for more than a minute and 4 seconds. That was a crazy stat to me, Sean and Jay. Like at halftime, the average time of possession for our offense was 1 minute and 4 seconds per drive.
If that don't tell you everything, I don't know what else does.
The defense cannot play 80 snaps every game.
Fact.
They can't do that for 13 games in a year. 80 snaps a game. And your offense, I think our offense had 54 snaps tonight. And the defense had 61 or something like that. It was closer to what you kind of want with your defense tonight because their quarterback didn't capitalize on some plays. But those things got to clean up, guys. They definitely do. So before we head out tonight, man, we're gonna start with Coach Jay. Since he don't have his handsome face on the screen. Coach Jay, tell the people where they can find you, man, as we get ready to shut this thing down, my brother.
You can find me on Twitter, Gent716. If you want to try to get in contact with me, or that's kind of one of the best places you can get me at. You can also find me on YouTube, Gent Sports by itself as well. So if you want to find me, I guess, ranting and seeing a more uncensored version of me, you can find me on Gent Sports on YouTube. But like I said, shout out to Kyle Henderson, shout out to Bama Insider, shout out to you guys in chat. You guys have been sending a lot of love, especially when it comes to super chats. Just letting you guys just letting us know, your feedback. Because trust me, we feel your pain. I feel your pain. And like I said, I know a lot of you guys, the blood pressure, the anger, the sadness, like you guys are feeling all different type of emotions right now. So trust me, we're all in that same boat. We can understand it. We were texting all throughout the game, and we felt every single emotion you could think of except for happiness. So shout out to you guys so much, man, because we gradually appreciate you guys for what you for what you guys have contributed, of course, to the channel. But no, that's where you guys can find me, and hopefully we can pick it up, guys. Hopefully we can pick it up. That's the one key thing that every Bama fan I think still has, or every Bama fan is wishing for is hope. That's the one word. So we'll see what happens.
All right, brother. Hey, shout out to you, man. Appreciate you for being here. Hey, Coach Sean, you up, man? Tell the people where they can find you, man.
Facebook, only thing I have popping right now. I'll be calling in as usual. I'll be here on Monday as usual. And it's kind of picking back off what Jarek said. Shout out to Kyle, everybody at Bama Insider, all my bros on the panel right now, everybody in the chat, man. We all feel the same way. I'm one of those fans that we can get into it and rough each other up, and then we're gonna love on each other after it's over and go fight together as Bama fans. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. One Way Studio, love you to death, bro. I appreciate you. So we're gonna be all right, man. We're gonna be all right. We got to get some things cleaned up, like Coach Mook said, man, and get the right people in there, man. Get the right people in there. I hope everybody saw what they needed to see tonight from these young men. Again, Buckner looked lost to me. I mean, no disrespect to that young man. He looked completely lost. Ty looked okay. You know what I mean? Just young, just need reps. And Milroe, at least he did. Man, at least he did move the ball, man. At least he did, move the ball. And going into this next game, brother, I think that's what we need. So shout out to everybody, man. Keep tapping in with us, man, and we'll be here. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, everybody. Hey, I got a question for the panel real quick before I even go. Do y'all think USF is better than Middle Tennessee State? Real quick. Do y'all think on either side of the ball, do y'all think they have a talent gap over Middle Tennessee State?
I don't.
Which is going to lead to my closing point. Jalen Miro was able to move the ball against Middle Tennessee State and produce multiple scoring drives before he was set down in the third quarter, in the second half of the third quarter. So questions about quarterback situation should be answered. Our best option right now going into conference play is Jalen Miro, and it was proven tonight without him having to touch the field. So hopefully there aren't any locker room issues. Hopefully there aren't any hidden injury issues. Rumors that I heard, he was dealing with a mild concussion from last week. Hopefully those things aren't true, and it was just a test for those other two quarterbacks. And I'm glad it didn't come at the cost of a loss, But the shout out to my guy Mike Lee. Mike Lee, man, my boy. Shout out to you, man. Sean, hit it for me one time.
Shout out Mike Lee, man. Definitely shout out to Mike Lee.
Yes, sir. Hey, y'all, we just gonna let Sean start doing the super chats, man. We want to keep the energy up. Even though it was a tough game, y'all, we still Bama, y'all. We still Roll Tide. We just see it for what it is, and we appreciate y'all for being 100% and keeping it 100 with us. You all know where you can find me, your boy Coach Smook, on all platforms. We had a great showing for this week's preview game. I did the revamp preview for Alabama USF. It did not go that way. Ty Buckner definitely played better when I was controlling them and calling the plays. So we're gonna scratch that one. I'm gonna do the edit and we're gonna do the reactions to it.
You didn't get the sliders up. That's the problem. You had the sliders all the way low.
You know what? I actually have the sliders. I have earned it sliders on, to be real. I think I did that with the first live. I have earned it sliders on, meaning the CPU scheme and everything. They get a lot of help with their attributes. So it makes it tough on us, But yeah, at Coach Smook on everything, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I'm getting real active on Twitter. Kick.com is where you want to be at. Kick.com, kick.com/Coach Smook. Go check me out on there. That's where all my live content is. Also, we're starting game day chat next week, kicking off conference play. We're starting game day chat. I will, if you go and follow me on those other platforms, you will see my Discord. I will post the Discord link, and next week's game day chat will be outlined in Discord. So if you want to get in on that, discuss the game in a moderately controlled environment, it will be video chat and voice chat available. Of course, it'll be moderated. I have some moderators in there, but we have a growing community over there on Discord. And I think it's going to be a good turnout, not just with Alabama fans, but we're going to have other fan bases in there. So a good time to mix and mingle with other fan bases and other college football fans, and just do what we do as college football fans. Keep it respectful, respect the game, and appreciate it for what it is. At the end of the day, it's college football. It's a game, and we love to watch it. I don't have anything negative to say, anything else negative to say about this team, other than hopefully we click, we turn that switch on, and we continue to move forward and grow from this, because as bad as we've played, we're still 2-1, and our one loss being against a top 10 team who's currently struggling right now too. So this might just be one of those weird years in college football where we just see weird things happening all year, and Alabama winning by 1 point against everybody, and we get to the national championship and finally look like a team that look like they want to win. So let's pray for let's have that wishful thinking as a fan base, but keep our grips intact. Let's keep it realistic and understand we can be beaten, but with execution, we could be better. So if we don't have anything else, Roll Tide to my brothers on the set. Shout out to Kyle Henderson, for showing us love and allowing us this platform to, operate and continue to, help create this content. Shout out to my guy, Sean, my guy, Jarek. These guys, we've been in this thing for about 3 seasons now. So 3 years. I've kind of known these guys and just in passing, and now we're connected. And I think it's a great thing. So be looking for clips also, guys. I'm going to put my legwork in. Be looking for clips on my YouTube channel. And also I'm going to be sharing them with Coach Jay. We're going to start getting this content out because I feel like we got a nice big 3 here that can do some big things for this Alabama fan base. We appreciate y'all, all the reactions, all the comments, all the super chats. I can't count it up right now, but y'all showed out. Crimson Blood, I don't think we gave you the shout out for this last $5. Shout out Crimson Blood 22 again. Coach Sean, hit it for me.
Shout out to Crimson Blood for $5. Love you to death. Shout out to Always Believe. We missed you in the chat tonight, bro.
Yes, where he at? Is he in there now?
Nah, I don't think I've seen him all night long. Man.
He probably traveling then. I think they was actually at the game, weren't they?
I don't know. Very right, good. Well,
but yeah, man. And as y'all see, we have made connections. I made connections with a lot of you. A lot of you don't agree with some of the points we say. A lot of you agree with some of the things we say. I don't care, man. At the end of the day, it's a football game. Neither one of us getting paid to be out there on that field. We share our opinions. We share our differences. But at the end of the day, I love each and every one of y'all, every person that's in this chat that's showing love. I appreciate it. I know these guys appreciate it. And with that being said, y'all, we're going to end this show, man. Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Good, there you go. Good. Starting off Skelly, man. 707. We'll be on the catch mechanics. Finishing the catch, finishing the tuck. Today we're going to be fast as we can go. Good. That's finishing the catch, finishing